morning, Specimen 28.
Good morning, Adora. How's the weather topside?
It's Nevada 28, what do you think?
I don't know what Nevada is.
Well, it's warm, but that's not important. What is important, and I'm a little proud to say this, is that my superiors seem quite pleased with the show so far.
I would hope so. I didn't subject myself to X-Blades for nothing.
About that, you know how you mentioned that there was a reboot?
Oh no. Blades of Time review is not happening just yet.
Why not?
To be frank, after losing the footage for Darksiders and Altered Beast, I'm a little worn out on action games.
Fair. I'll just reschedule those reviews for some time between now and the heat death of the universe.
Why don't we do a mascot platformer that failed to launch a franchise? Oh, or a game everyone has already agreed is good, that's easy to milk for views.
You want me to install New Vegas, don't you?
It sounds so fun!
It is, but it's a bit too big to tackle right now. We'll talk once you've indoctrinated more subscribers.
Fine, whatever. What else do you have for me?
Well, we did receive a new game this morning. The Super Collider had a bit of a hiccup, tore open a hole into another reality, and it fell out before it closed.
Aren't you worried it won't work on the PC?
Please, the EDF uses the most advanced medium-range gaming PCs on the planet. Though they run Windows 10, so it's a crapshoot. I'll get it installed on your terminal in just a moment. In the meantime, why don't you show the viewers your new
Hello everyone, I'm your host Salmon, and to make a long story short, I'm an alien. And ever since I was abducted by the lovely agents of the EDF while I was minding my own business in a GameStop, I've been delivering videos to you from a comfy padded cell a mile underground. I presume. They haven't made much of an effort to keep me in the loop.
I'm still not sure we should be exposing your true nature, 28, but he refused to keep up the charade. Apologies for some sloppiness in the earlier videos. We've been building up to the reveal.
That's Dr. Adora Balone, my handler and editor. This whole show was her idea since the alternative was...
The dissection and reverse engineering have his unique blobomorph physiology.
And that would kill me, right?
You would be several flavors of dead, yes.
So, I guess I'm here to entertain and talk about assorted Earthling media for the long haul. Free room and board, decent gaming PC. There are worse things.
Like death?
Like death! So without further ado, let's get down to business, since most viewers have probably already clicked out of the video by now. Today, we're talking about a game of the shoot gun variety, Area 51, a little ditty from Midway Studios Austin published in 2005. A story of contagion, conflict, and conspiracy. Well, my copy of Area 51 was obtained through what we in the showbiz call the Finder's Keeper philosophy of cross-dimensional junk. You can actually go and play Area 51 right now thanks to a promotional deal made with the United States Air Force?
That's right. As part of a recruitment advertising campaign, the US military struck a deal to release 3 video games free for download. The Suffering, Rise and Fall Civilizations at War, and Area 51. As this deal seems to have been made in perpetuity, these games are still free to download to this very day.
Ooh, The Suffering looks cool. Can we...
Save it for October 28.
What the hell is October?
Efforts like Project Dreamland and the Area 51 Preservation Project have worked to maintain support for the game on modern PCs, and I've taken the liberty of applying such patches to 28's copy, and linking them in the description.
Alright, so our game starts and...
Command. On the ground.
Come on! Stay low!
This is one of those videos with homework, isn't it? So before Midway's Area 51, there was Atari's Area 51, a light gun shooter released in 1995 and ported to home consoles in 96. An alien probe crash lands on Earth and is taken to Area 51, a top-secret military base in... Hey, you said we're in Nevada, right?
Wrong Nevada.
Oh, okay. So all contact is lost at Area 51, and it's presumed that the aliens have overtaken the base. As a member of STAR, it's your job to reach the lower depths of the facility and activate its nuclear self-destruct sequence through the art of human diplomacy. I'm not exactly an expert on light gun games. I think they're a nice distraction when you're waiting for someone to pick you up from a movie theater, so take my opinion with a grain of salt when I say that Area 51 is... pretty good, actually. I'll admit I'm playing with the PlayStation mouse, but if you're looking for an arcade shooter with that crunchy FMV aesthetic, this game fucks. It doesn't really do much different from other on-rail shooters, but for what it is, it's a good time. Except for when these zombie guys pop up and punch you in the junk. Fuck those guys. If you're good at the game, which I'm not, you can beat it in about 20-ish minutes. But those 20 minutes are going to be full of aliens, gun-toting zombies, and, Players in 95 must have thought the game was good too, because Area 51 was a major hit and spawned a sequel, Site 4, which we won't be looking at today. So how much of this is relevant to the game we're actually talking about? Not a damn thing! Today's game is considered a loose remake of Atari's, with more emphasis on loose than remake. This isn't even the type of remake where established terms are applied to new things without any sort of regard for what those terms originally meant. There's no star team, no cron, both games are set at Area 51, you play as a military specialist, and the enemies are mutated soldiers. That's about it. The game starts with this guy, Dr. Cray, head scientist at Area 51, talking about a pact humanity made in 1947 and how he needs to break it for the good of everyone before he releases an alien creature from its container, releasing a mutagenic virus into the base. In response, the military sends in Hazmat Team Delta, and things go about as well as you'd expect. After you lose one Hazmat team, what's losing another? And so Hazmat Team Bravo is deployed to Area 51. Their mission? To contain the virus, locate Team Delta, and bring them back alive if possible. It's here that we finally meet our protagonist, Ethan Cole, a mission specialist and biologist, and the prompter also wants me to mention the celebrity voices, but I don't actually know these people.
We're still working through exposing him to Earth television. Just a moment.
Well, it's good to know that we're not the only species that have encountered Greys. Bunch of weirdos. Every intelligent species seems to have a story about them. They're like the Bigfoot of the cosmos.
You're familiar with Bigfoot?
Oh, Harry and the Hendersons was in the playlist for some reason. Honestly, it enhanced the experience.
I'll have to have a word with Ludovico. Practical jokes are unbecoming of artificial intelligence. Carry on.
So, David Duchovny, probably known to most as Agent Fox Mulder from The X-Files, lends his voice to Ethan Cole. I mean, I get it. This game has aliens. X-Files had aliens. I see where the wires cross, but I can only hear that going down like, hey, you know who would be a good lead for our high-octane alien bang-bang shooty game? The guy who sounds like he's running on one less cup of coffee than he'd like to be. Constantly. He only talks in the cutscenes between levels, and I think it's because of how ridiculous it would sound to be mowing down aliens and go, those alien bastards are gonna pay for shooting down my ride. And hell yeah, I know Duke Nukem. We received transmissions of tons of old freeware games. Whatever happened to that sequel anyway? Was that any good?
There is no sequel.
Oh, they cancel it? That's a shame. But comparing Area 51 to the Duke is unfair. It's like judging a wiener dog for not being a greyhound. They're good at different things. One's great at going fast and being a good boy, and the other is good at trying to be like Half-Life. This is a linear shooter, and here I'll admit some similarities to the original, because what is a linear shooter if not an on-rail shooter without the rail? And just like in a non-rail shooter, since you control the path you're funneling the player down, you get full creative control of the experience they have. I'm stealing a bit from Civi11's video on Half-Life, I know, but it kinda hits the nail on the head. A game like Half-Life is the FPS equivalent of a haunted house, and done right, it's a good time that manages to remain a good time on repeated walkthroughs. Except for Zen. So what do you need? Set pieces. The bigger and more memorable the better. If you spend an entire level just shooting dudes in a hallway, that's a bad level. And Area 51 understands that, and manages to only have a few moments that I think are kinda bad. But it's fine. Let's get into it.
Prepare for preliminary chemical wash.
Cole, I need you to stick close to me. They do things a little differently here. This is Area 51 after all.
For once, we have a tutorial level that doesn't unveil some underlying problem with the game and does a pretty good job of creating a sense of life within the base. It's not Black Mesa, we're not blowing up food in the microwave, but it's fine. Within 12 seconds of walking through that door, we're given a gun, and... What?
Cole, join Crispy at the
Why
range.
is that the sound for picking up a gun? It's whatever. Let's do the shooting range with Crispy.
That's one. And a two. Oh, son of a bitch. Best 2 out of 3?
We get the scanner, used for collecting lore documents hidden throughout the levels. There's lore, and I didn't find it all, nor did I read any of it, because I know so little about the socio-political landscape of Earth that these may as well be individual pages of the Very Hungry Caterpillar. We meet Major Bridges, voiced by... Powers Booth, and he tells us about a rogue agent in the base. You'll step outside and see these tires fall and think the game has physics. This is a lie. They're programmed to fall this way so you can jump up here and find lore. The game has ragdoll physics for enemies, but beyond that, nothing, which is fine because, spoilers, this game has no puzzles. We chase the rogue agent through the area we came in through, and this game features a lean mechanic I didn't make use of too often, but it can be handy. We aren't interacting with things often enough to make me mourn the loss of E as my use keys.
Wow, you son of a...
Now that that's been taken care of, I pick up the rifle and say goodbye to the pistol for the bulk of my playthrough. There's nothing wrong with the pistol, it's surprisingly good at putting down single targets, but this game is expecting you to go full auto. Hop in the elevator with your squaddies Ramirez, McCann, and Crispy, and it's time to get the game started proper.
We hope you enjoy your stay at Area 51, America's foremost covert government resort and spa. Crispy, shut the hell up.
It's time to meet the mutants, the early game enemies of Area 51. They come in two flavors primarily, soldiers with guns and unarmed scientists who somehow take more bullets to put down than the guys in armor. And the game does itself a disservice by doing the thing I said not to do, and introduces them to us via a lengthy shootout in a hallway. It's not exactly a strong follow-up to the first level, but we do get a taste of dual wielding, sacrificing the ability to reload for spreading lead at anything in front of you. Going through this dark office room is cool, I guess, though my copy has some problems where the lighting on characters break, so it doesn't look as good as it could. We have to turn on the power with McCann, which, to my surprise, involves platforming over deadly moving beams of electricity, something we will never have to do again. Alright, done. Come on, McCann, let's get out of here. Oh. So McCann's dead, which bodes well for the lifespans of my remaining teammates. I understand that the last guys they sent here are presumed dead, but killing a teammate on the second level feels like jumping the gun just a bit. No use crying over spilled milk, I guess. Let's go. We're still sort of shooting mutants in hallways, but things are opening up a bit more, and most of the fighting happens in these halls with an upper level. The verticality makes it feel a bit less homogeneous. Your teammates can mostly hold off enemies on the ground, but these guys up on the railing with rifles are the real threats. You can enter a lot of the rooms on the sides, and while most of them just have loose ammo or health, one has a key card, so you can grab that, and another key card at a terminal you need to scan, open this door, and bam! I'll preface this by saying that shotguns are some of my favorite weapons. In terms of weaponry, I have always preferred the idea of crushing someone with sheer force, and so my go-to instruments of destruction are maces, hammers, and shotguns. So how's Area 51's shotgun? I like it. Got a good punch, tight spread. The alt-fire is a double barrel shot that leaves you open for a second afterwards. It takes 2 shots to down the basic enemies, which isn't the best, but it just makes me wonder why they even bothered with the primary being single barrel. I doubt people would have minded the alt-fire being the primary. Do you like tiny bug enemies? I don't, but I guess designers assumed that the reason Half-Life was so popular was that everyone fucking loved snarks. They die in one hit, sure, but I'm always leery of games that have an enemy that feels explicitly designed to waste your ammo. Luckily, the game doesn't use them much, mostly in vents, which is great, thank you for that, but maybe we could just not have tiny bug enemies? We guard Crispy while he hacks a terminal and we're out of here. The last 2 levels blend together in my mind to the point that I forget they're separated by a loading screen, and I have to assume it's for memory reasons because, honestly, they could have been one big map and it would have been fine. After 2 levels of hallways, it's a relief when we walk into this big hangar bay. Believe it or not, the whole level takes place in this one room, and it's one of the moments this game reminds me of the original because it's a big open space full of boxes and explosive barrels and heavy equipment. You don't get to drive a forklift, but it's all here. We drop into this walkway above the hangar bay and...
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them.
So we open the hangar door and we gotta go meet up with our squad mates when... Yeah, that figures. Nah. Much better. When we get inside, your team leader's dead and Crispy's been infected, serving as the game's first boss fight. Thematically, it's compelling. This is your teammate, someone Cole knows, turned into something other than human. Mechanically, it's fighting one unarmed mutant in a dark room. Area 51 only really has 4 boss fights, and none of them are much to write home about, but this one is objectively the worst. Team Delta's alive, but they're pinned down in this room with infinitely spawning, hey, is that a turret? We're back to standing around and shooting mutants as they enter what is functionally just a long, wide hallway, occasionally being sent on errands to get the turrets up and running. Luckily, the Delta guys get in them while you're sent to fix communications and grab some C4 to blow open the back wall.
Cole, give me the explosive and hop into that turret.
The turret doesn't overheat, it turns fast, fires a 2-shot explosive burst, and it kills stuff good. It is a perfectly functional turret section, but you're just sitting there for 2 minutes blowing mutants up, waiting for the game to let you progress. It's fine. It's not really fine, but it's fine. Now that the game's got its last bit of friendly squadmate mechanics out of its system, it's time for Team Delta to die. This is the Theta, and we won't be fighting him for another 8 levels, but from the look of it, the game's setting him up to be a real antagonistic force. So there's obviously something going on here, right? We know Dr. Cray released the virus, sure, but who would be developing a virus to turn people into lumpy spacemen? Who's the puppet master pulling the strings of human progress? And to what ends? Here's a better question. Did you honestly think this game wouldn't have human enemies? Wait, wrong title card, sorry. Much better. Soldiers in futuristic neon armor blow your elevator to keep you from escaping the facility, killing the last member of Delta and leaving you unable to defend yourself from a mutant who breaches your suit and infects you with the virus. Unbeknownst to them, we're the protagonist in a first-person shooter, and so all this does is give us a temporary superform. Now that we've been infected, we begin receiving messages from a mysterious entity that communicates through the bodies of dead scientists and soldiers. This is Edgar, an alien being held in the lowest levels of the facility, voiced by shock rock musician Marilyn Manson.
Find the anti-mutagen, and you may find a better death.
His voice certainly adds a unique element to the game, but at the same time, there's just something about it that hits weird. Edgar will be popping up from time to time, steering Cole towards his next objective and dispensing cryptic hints about your alien form's abilities. And yes, I noticed that the humans they possess get his eye thing, I noticed. Right now, they want us to find Dr. Cray so he can cure the virus before it kills us. We're stuck in our alien form for the meantime, so let's talk about that. Your alien form is pretty useful, actually. Your primary fire is a melee attack that kills plenty of enemies in one hit and fills your mutagen bar to remain in alien form longer, and your alt fire launches parasites that home in on enemies and somehow heal you. Don't ask me how it works, it just does. Once we get the ability to toggle back and forth between human and alien form, we get an interesting dynamic where you might swap into alien form to quickly melee a group or fire off parasites to hit enemies behind cover and get some health back. On a lesser note, enemies are highlighted in alien form, which is useful for exactly one enemy type we haven't met yet. Right now, it's time to meet the Illuminati. These guys are the Black Ops forces of the Illuminati, the super spooky evil organization that rules the world in this fictional universe and totally isn't real. Don't think about— Adora, stop fucking with my prompter.
I'm just kidding around.
Are you? These guys are pretty standard as far as soldier dudes in an FPS go. They hide behind cover, poke out, fire at you, go back into cover, and occasionally throw grenades. If you've played any contemporary military shooter, you know the drill. Armor's cool though, but I'm not sure how sneaky you can be when your suit's covered in neon tubing. We also meet the Leapers, the replacement for the mutants who we won't be seeing for the rest of the game, and they're functionally the same as the unarmed variety, only they're faster and like to jump around and crawl on things. They don't use their climbing to outmaneuver you, so they're fine. Think fast zombies, but you already have the shotgun. We're contacted by Dr. Cray on this TV that makes my head hurt, and he basically tells us the same thing Edgar did. Come to my lab or you're going to die. So thanks for that, very helpful. When either Edgar or Cray contacts you, the game's momentum comes to a screeching halt until they're done. Most games would have just had them contact you through a radio or telepathy to maintain player agency, but Area 51 doesn't have subtitles, so to make sure you heard what Marilyn Manson is growling at you, they have to stop gameplay dead until he's done. I'm not that mad about it, I just noticed it and it bothered me. So I didn't mention the hallway in the last level because this level also has the exact same hallway, and spoilers, the next level also starts with the same hallway. It's fine, we're riding the elevator. It makes sense that the hallways would be built the same from an architectural standpoint, but it's got the same problem that FPS sections set in office buildings have where everything looks the same. And if you showed me an image of any of these starting hallways, I probably could not tell you what level it was from. As a result, I tend to remember one of them, internal changes, and life or death as one long level. We make our way into a lab where some members of the Illuminati are gathered around an infected corpse, but they teleport away before we can punish them for the crime of being giant nerds. Oh, and also ruling the world, I guess.
"28, what are you doing?"
No, wait. It's science. Moving on, some soldiers have rigged up C4 to a reactor, and we deactivate it. Simple stuff. We also meet a new variant of the soldiers that go invisible, but the alien vision can see them just fine. They're not really a problem, but they're cool, I guess. Next. Finally, we get another big arena fight in this multi-level room full of soldiers, and the game gives us a sniper rifle to deal with these guys up on the railing. It's perfectly serviceable, zooms in twice, and most enemies will die from a headshot. Next up is this side area where we need to fight soldiers, walk across this lower level populated with spiders, take the elevator up to activate the console on the other side of the room, walk back across the area that has been repopulated with more spiders, take an elevator up to activate this big machine thingy, fight soldiers, walk back across the area a third time, take the elevator up, fight soldiers, then ride the machine across to the exit. Simple. This takes us to what I assume is either the same arena as before or a virtually identical one where the reactors have been rigged to blow, and you have 4 minutes to deactivate the self-destruct before, finally, we head for the elevator to Dr. Cray's lab. The good doctor is holed up in this giant vault with auto turrets, something the Illuminati probably should have considered not allowing him to do if they were hoping to take him out of the picture. The guy's in a wheelchair and you have an army. The fact that he's managed to throw this big of a wrench into your operation speaks volumes for your competence. We have to defend the entrance for a minute while he gets the lab prepped, but I accidentally broke the game and got stuck in the airlock like an idiot. So I restart, and then I do it right. It's time to meet Victor.
Oh, your health is poor. The doctor will make you better. But the scanner, you must step into the scanner.
I like Victor. Sorry you work for Dr. Wily's estranged brother, man. And knowing the track record for friendly NPCs in this game,
Be angry if not.
I'd be shocked, but this game kills your friends so often that it loses its punch. Dr. Cray starts the process to cure us, but the Illuminati blows the lab. He dies, and I'm convinced that Ethan Cole is an anomalous entity who attracts a disaster like a lightning rod of bad vibes. We're following Edgar's lead deeper into the facility now, fighting our way through different research labs, down a firing range, powering an anti-gravity device to make a bridge out of office junk. Neat stuff. Once we get up on this railway, we find the BBG. I'm sure it has a real name, but it's the bouncy ball gun. It fires a volley of 3 bouncy energy balls that stick to enemies before detonating, and the alt-fire turns on an aiming laser that slowly drains your ammo. I don't use it much, but it's conceptually a good weapon for enemies hanging behind corners. Finally, we have this room with a giant laser cannon. It's pretty cool. Wonder where they got that cannon from. Now you're speaking my language, game. I mean, from my perspective, we just walked into a vintage car show, but I know you apes go nuts for this. This looks like an old Vumblin scummer, but the interior work, that's all custom. Kept the stock cannon, though. To be fair, hard to beat a Vumblin in terms of firepower. There's another in the next room over, though it's a bit beat up. I'm guessing the first one we saw was reverse engineered from this. We have to walk across it and make this little jump that I keep fucking up on, but it's fine. I survived, and we're on our way out.
Was that worth it?
Yes. Yes, it was. First up, we gotta fight our way downstairs to make contact with our people up top, but the signal gets jammed, so we're climbing back up the stairs, blowing up the jammers so we can get a signal out. Alright, good, cool. I like the arena's verticality as much as it means I'm getting pelted by fire from enemies above and below me. It's neat, and we get the message out, and we're done. Oh, are you the ones who makes these things? Honestly, after that scummer, I feel like this game may have peaked in terms of leaning into conspiracy theories. I don't get it. I'm not sure about this arena. Functionally, an open field of Moonscape isn't the best cover for you or your enemy, so the game compensates by making them invisible or placing them far away. It's kind of bad, not gonna lie, but something tells me that whatever was back there was supposed to blow some players' minds. We're in deep now, deep enough that we've reached the inexplicable lava level. It's alright. We meet the Parasites. Fuck the Parasites. They split into smaller versions when you shoot them, which basically makes them tiny bug enemies that turn into tinier bug enemies. Functionally cool, but midway, why would you do this to me? We've got a neat little arena where we're working around 2 auto turrets that you can just run up and destroy them from beneath because they can't reach you. Then this linear area full of sniper nests. I can't always find much to say about each chapter. It's like I said, some of these levels feel like one big level broken into multiple parts for hardware reasons. If Buried Secrets and Now Boarding had been one mission, it'd be like having a level that starts off alright, but then becomes kinda tedious at the end because of, well, a few things really. This doctor has the codes to get us through to the next area, but problem, the next area is full of soldiers, 2 of which are piloting the turrets from the last stand. So first we clear them out, easy, then we go get the scientist, watch him skip all the way back to the outpost, and if you thought we were going to get out of here without having to hop in those turrets ourselves, you haven't played enough FPS games. Our fate was sealed the second we saw them. After another 2 minutes of turret time, something I always question because it definitely felt longer than 2 minutes, we may need to study temporal anomalies associated with turret sections in video games. We make it to the end of the stage, and it's finally time to take on the Theta, our chance to avenge Ramirez, Crispy, Delta, and I guess not McCann, because he got his head ripped off by a mutant. McCann kinda sucks. I'm unsure if it was intentional or an oversight on the developer's part to have designed the mutant form to make an absolute joke of the theta. This is beyond circle strafing. This is slapping someone's shins until they just can't put up with your shit anymore and die out of sheer frustration. Edgar contacts you one last time and says it's time that you two meet face to face before you take the plunge into the game's last chapters. See, in 1947, an alien ship crashed in Roswell with Edgar inside. The Greys contacted Earth and a deal was struck. The humans would supply the Greys with a research facility where they could engineer the virus for use in a war taking place on their homeworld, and in exchange, the Illuminati was given access to Grey technology. What the Greys didn't know is that the Illuminati were planning on unleashing the virus on Earth's population as well, and when Dr. Cray learned of this, he sabotaged their plans by releasing the virus prematurely and getting the hazmat teams involved. Edgar synthesizes a cure, though it'll take some time to have its full effect, so we won't be losing our mutant form just yet. Honestly, I think it would have been cool to have to do the last portion of the game without access to your mutant powers, but at the same time, those levels would need to be very different to compensate. Saying your goodbyes, Cole is shuttled off to the Greys research facility beneath Area 51. You can tell the alien labs are at the forefront of the designer's mind, and I appreciate it because this whole section of the game is easily the most memorable, even if not all those memories are good ones. The lights, the holograms, seeing Greys peering through the windows at you with those expressionless faces, it's good stuff. Kinda like Zen, the level itself is the set piece. Only I'd take Area 51's final chapters over Zen any day. We're working through hallways into small arenas into hallways with big arenas, like in the base, but it's all wrapped in this alien aesthetic that the game's been showing hints of leading up to this. Aliens vivisecting people, thetas gestating in tubes. You don't even interact with a lot of the stuff you see. It's just cool and leaves you with the impression that you're running guns ablaze into the heart of the Greys operation, and they're so otherworldly that they can't be bothered to care. As for new additions, some doors have plasma turrets you need to destroy before they'll open. The shotgun or BBG works good against those, and... Wait. I feel something. Something calling to me. Well, they're not lasers, but pretty damn cool. Good secret, easily one of my top 10 favorites, and we're rewarded with the Meson Cannon, the BFG of Area 51, which we do get later in this level, but it's still pretty cool. Back on track, we hit a big arena, and it looks like one of the Greys have finally decided someone should do something about the TV star sleepwalking through their house holding a shotgun. Greys are a pain, but that makes sense. This is the end of the game, and we need an enemy that's a pain in the ass for that last challenge hurdle. Prioritize Greys above all else. They don't attack, but they will endlessly spawn enemies. 2 or 3 volleys of Parasites is usually enough to break through their shields, and since they're biologically nerds, they die instantly. Up ahead is where we would get the Meson Cannon if we hadn't fought the sharks earlier, and well, for one, the Meson Cannon isn't very effective against Parasites because it fires a ball of energy that shoots lightning at nearby enemies, and the hit detection on Parasites is kinda trash. In the end, I just killed the bare minimum required to get the door to open, grab the cannon, and run like hell.
Coward.
Hey, we're blowing the base, they're gonna die anyway. Good level, in my opinion. We're fighting our way past Greys on these floating bridges full of cover for you and the soldiers they spawn. I remember dying a few times, but it was never the kind of dying where I felt the game was putting me in a corner. I vividly remember this bit where you're walking across an extending light bridge and a soldier spawns on the other side and hits the switch to collapse it. So you've got to turn around and rush back to where you started. It's fun, and I wish the earlier chapter had moments like that where the soldiers were interacting with the world in ways beyond just using it as cover. The second walkway has 2 Greys. This is where I remember dying a few times. Just remember that you can melee the soldiers the Greys spawn to get mutagen back, and you'll be fine. Short level, but it's fun. We're smashing up alien fuel generators so we can progress, fighting our way through soldiers, no Greys thankfully, but we do have to fight the Theta again before we make our way back. It's kind of funny that the game's way of going easy on me is dropping a boss on my head. Area 51 isn't even a particularly challenging game. I played on normal, and most of my deaths could be attributed to a bad tendency of mine to play cover shooters like they're not cover shooters. Mostly because I find some enemy AI isn't prepared for you to just run at them, and frankly, because it's more fun. Alright, it's time to clap some alien cheeks and send them home to their mommies. What do you mean that's not what that means? Oh god! 2 arenas left, my friends. I'm running low on shotgun ammo, have just enough for the plasma turrets, and you may be wondering, Salmon, why not use a different gun? And I may be wondering, fuck you. We step out onto this walkway and get a little tram ride around the outside of the alien mothership. It's really cool, a good way to build suspense for when we inevitably wreck this thing. I'm not a game designer, but if I were one of the fine folks at Midway Studios Austin, I'd put a checkpoint right here. A checkpoint after one gunfight? That's ridiculous. Sort of, yeah, but if we die in the next room, it's not just back to the beginning area. We need to take the tram around the mothership again, and yes, I am speaking from experience, stop laughing. We have to go through the arena up ahead once in both directions, the first time populated with a lot of soldiers so we can head upstairs and extend the bridge to the mothership, and the second time with a Gray hanging out behind this bulletproof wall. I got the second wave in one go, a single Gray isn't an issue if you have the mutagen for it. We make our way across the bridge, and it's time to really stick it to these dorks. The final boss fight is... it's a bit of a letdown, honestly. Blast open the panels on the core's sides, hide behind these moving shields to avoid the beams, blast the 2 turrets on it once they pop out, and it's dead. Honestly, if they were going to commit to having boss fights, I'd have hoped that they would have spent more time on them. With the base going critical, we have just under a minute to hustle our butts across the bridge and through this portal before the whole damn place blows higher than a Calypsian kite. Cured of the virus and having barely escaped with his life, Cole laments on how while his team's mission to save Delta was a failure, their sacrifice may have saved mankind. We also see a military truck escaping with what looks like a single Theta in captivity, which I assume to be a sequel hook, except when Area 51 did eventually get a sequel, it was so disconnected from this game that they could have just called it Black Site and been fine. Oh wait, they did just call it Black Site in Europe. Area 51 is a fine game. It's impressive to see what was considered an okay light gun game be adapted into a first-person shooter with production values like this, and while it's kinda weird that the Air Force thought sharks with machine guns would compel people to enlist, I appreciate that they did, because it means this game is easy for someone to play themselves and make up their own minds about it. I think Area 51 accomplishes most of what it sets out to do gracefully, and where it fumbles, it quickly tries to correct itself. Even the less interesting levels only last a few minutes, and the game's numerous set pieces, mutant mechanics, and a story built around playing with the mythology surrounding Area 51 help it stand out in my memory as more than just a shooty bang-bang game. In a weird way, David Duchovny's performance as Ethan Cole, much as I like to make fun of it, gives the game a personality unlike other shooters I've played.
There's a calmness when you're in the presence of these aliens, but you'd be an idiot to trust them. They like talking with gestures. I'd like to talk to them with this cannon.
Most other times I'd call it wooden, but Duchovny's sleepy talk is alive enough that it makes Cole sound almost as alien as the Greys. It grows on you. Marilyn Manson's performance is... well, he's there, I guess, so if you like Marilyn Manson, cool. The enemy AI ranges from average to wonky, guns and ammo make squishy noises when you pick them up, and the bosses are kinda lackluster, but I enjoyed my time with Area 51. The truth is out there, my friends, and it's that this game fucks. There, how'd I do?
Very nice, 28. Now, if you'd like to see 28 review the game's sequel, Black Site, just leave a comment below and remember to
yeah,
like
they've been on YouTube before they get it. Thanks for sticking around through this long-winded, weirdly structured ramble on Area 51. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and Adora and I will see you in the next video.
Roll outro?
Roll outro.